Is up, guys, and welcome back to Flow State, and what is a little bit of a nice return for us because we did actually officially miss our first week in what is 20 weeks. It would have been 20 weeks last week. And first off, I just want to apologize on my behalf. I'm going to take all the blame for missing last week because we record on Friday for anyone who isn't aware, and literally this time last week, or I guess a bit earlier in the day, for me, I came down with sickness, and by recording time, I was literally on my deathbed. I think I actually told Adam the morning after, but I was in bed by 5:30 p.m., literally just like suffering, and we had to call it for the weekend, but nonetheless, we are back, and we apologize for the delay. I am kind of on the road to recovery, not quite there yet, still feeling some of the knock-on effects of what has been a pretty dreadful winter of sickness in Melbourne, as anyone who is from Melbourne will know. But Adam, you're looking remarkably well, as always. Really, you look kind of slightly tanned. You've got the bit of the waves going on with the hair, not seeing so much sun behind you, but you look well, man. How you been?
Appreciate it, mate. It's great to speak to you again. I'm glad to hear that you've revived from the dead. Yeah, things are good, mate. Thanks for asking. Uh, Weather's not great today. It's pissing down. And yeah, I'm just literally out of the shower because I was out for a run this morning before we jumped on our calls. So hence the wet hair. But yeah, things are good, mate. Couple of races over the last couple of weeks. I feel a little bit sick this morning, actually. Bit throaty, a bit sort of, what's the word, like, I can just feel it a bit in my,
It's scratchy.
a bit scratchy, that's the word I was looking for.
Yeah,
A bit scratchy in
yeah.
the throat and the nose, but hopefully it doesn't come to too much. Touch wood, I've been pretty lucky with sickness over the last 6-7 months, but I know just anytime I do go down, I go down pretty hard. So fingers crossed, I can avoid that. But listen, it's good to speak to you again, mate, and good to have you back in the land of the living. Missed you last week.
It's nice to be back. I feel like I missed me. It's one of those weekends where I didn't. Frankly, frankly, it's one of those weeks where I just didn't feel myself. And yeah, I was kind of thinking there midweek. I was like, man, this is like the highlight of my social week. So I was like, man, I missed that really bad. And it completely, like, obviously I saw that you had the half marathon. You had the first, I think it was the Lurgan half last
Lisburn.
week. Lisbon, that's it. And then you raced again Wednesday, and I was like, man, there's me on my deathbed. And Adam's out here racing, getting on the podium twice in 2 weeks, man. So congratulations on those. Yeah, you pulling up okay recovery wise.
Yeah, thanks a million. I think so. I haven't done much bar a really solid long run sort of over the last couple of weeks and the two races, if that makes sense. So I've done a lot of like quite short, easy runs. And when I say easy, I mean really easy, like
Yeah, yeah.
plus 5 minute Ks. Like really keeping the heart rate proper low, so I'm recovering between them. So yeah, feel okay. I must admit during the 10K I felt better than how I felt during the half. So Lisburn half, just for anyone that's listening, this will be out on Wednesday. So Lisburn half was 2 weeks ago. Yeah, good race. I did it last year. It's always a warm one, so times are never really like super quick. But we headed down there and got on the start line alongside my mate Paddy and a couple of other good runners. And yeah, Paddy was one of the lads that I did quite a lot of training for in preparation for London Marathon. And myself, Paddy, and another guy kind of went off the front to begin, and it was a bit of a battle between the three of us. And Patrick came away the victor. So it was nice to have like a proper race with those guys. And yeah, just through 6-7 miles, or for the first 6-7 miles, I just didn't feel like my legs were under me aerobically, and with my sort of like breathing, I felt great. Like we were chatting actually, but my legs just weren't. Things just weren't clicking. Whether it was warm up or whether it was just the night that it was, I just didn't feel like I just describe it as didn't feel like I had my legs under me properly. And then all of a sudden, after like 7 into sort of mile 8, I found that rhythm and started to feel really good. But I just left myself a bit too much to do to try and catch Paddy. He ran a really solid, honest pace from the start, and he kept the pressure on, and he ran away from us. And yep, thankfully I managed to finish second on a good night. I was third last year, second this year, maybe next year. I'll hit the top step.
The trajectory you go, mate. I'm putting two and two together and getting four here. So hopefully next year
Fourth.
you've got a first place. Yeah, right. No, that'll be good.
So it was
Um,
nice. Yeah, it was a good race. And then this Wednesday just passed, or it'll be a week. Sorry, just when this goes out. Was just at my local 10k, so literally on my back door. Round Craigavon Lakes here, which I know every single inch of, and I mean that. I feel like I really do know every bump around that place. It's probably my favorite place to run, and yep, 2 loop course of the 10k. Well, it's kind of 2 and a bit loops actually, because it starts way back from kind of the finish area, and yeah, it was on the start line there, and this time I kind of took up the mantle of sort of running a good, hard, honest pace from the start, with a couple of guys in tow, and the way that race kind of panned out was interesting enough. Yeah, I found myself on the front. There's a guy kind of went off the start line like a bat out of hell, and I just kind of latched onto his tail, but I think after 400 meters, he was back. So all of a sudden, I found myself on the front. So you're kind of forced to make a decision at that point. Do you kind of back off and allow other guys to take up the pacing and just sit? Or do you kind of run a hard, honest pace from the start? And knowing that I'm kind of marathon trained right now, or sort of off the back of marathon training, I might not have the biggest kick finish, but I have a really good, strong aerobic base. It was like, yeah, let's just run a decent, honest race from the start here. And let's just, if it means putting yourself out on the front to be shot at, then so be it. So kind of just on feeling and on effort, just kept the pace honest enough. And yeah, like I say, I had 2 guys in tow for pretty much the whole way around. And yeah, I suppose got to about 5 miles, or just over 8 k's. Yeah, about 8.5 k's, and kind of let the couple of lads come up alongside me just to see who was around. And I said to one of the guys actually at the finish, I was conscious then, just when I seen who it was, that he has pretty good track pedigree, so he'd be pretty fast in a kick finish. So when I seen that he was one of the 2 that were in tow, I kind of thought to myself, well, I don't want to leave this until the very last and a sprint finish. So after I kind of let them come up alongside me, I with a mile to go, I just kind of I tried to sort of put a bit of pressure on and tried to kick it from there. So thankfully neither of them came with me, and managed to sort of keep that hard pace on up until the finish. And I think really pleased actually. I think I clocked a sub 5 minute last mile. So all up, pretty delighted with how that actually ended up panning out. And kind of running away from the couple of lads that were sort of on my tail the whole way around. So that was a nice tactical race, which I really enjoyed, and felt good, and felt strong throughout, and strong in the finish, and was really pleased that the aerobic training and a lot of the sort of more marathon-esque training, you kind of can still have that really strong fast finish. So yeah, pretty pleased, mate. First place there, and second place last week. So it's been a nice couple of weeks. It's been enjoyable. Definitely fatigued. I could feel it this morning in the body. The body just doesn't want to go right now. So it's just about honouring that, and like not even worrying about the pace of my running, but just making sure that I'm recovering.
Mm-hmm. And just while I remember as well, what was your time for the 10k?
My chip time was 32:38, but on my watch,
yeah.
I got it as 32:45. So I don't know, mate. I don't think the chip time's correct. I think it was probably the 32:45, to be honest. Because I was just timing on my watch without any splits. Like I didn't have any splits coming up while I was running. And what you also find on that loop, well, this won't have impacted the chip timing, but the GPS always tends to be quite a bit off around the lakes there, because you'll have seen the race comes through as like it comes through as short of 10k anyways, but there's a railway bridge that you go under a couple of times, and it's about It's probably about 50 meters in length. And every time you go under there, your GPS just completely cuts out and goes a little bit haywire. So that probably explains the short GPS measurement on the
Yeah,
watch.
yeah.
But I've been told that the course has been measured with a wheel. So yeah, I was all up. I was actually considering I ran it on feel and kind of just raced instead of like time trialed it. I was really delighted with the time actually. So I'd be keen to have a crack over 10K flat out
Mhm.
um, over the coming months, but we'll just see how things play out with Dublin marathon training, holidays coming up. You know, it's kind of a tricky time to navigate.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I was actually when I looked at the watch when I stopped, and again considering I'd front ran it from the start, I was pretty pleased with the time. I ran it a couple of years ago in 32. I think it was 32:32 or 32:33. But yeah, all up, pretty pleased.
Yeah, strong time, especially when that's obviously not what you're training for. It's more of a kind of training run. That's pretty fantastic. Definitely pleased to see you on the podium, sir. Look good on you. So,
Thanks, mate.
um,
Kira has my prize money spent already.
oh, damn, how much do you get?
Nah, I'm just joking.
50
Uh,
p or
yeah, well, we'll just say that the prize for the half marathon was significantly better than the prize for the 10K, but that's all right.
yeah, fair enough. Well, look, we did actually have a Q&A planned for today, and unlike last time where we just kind of, I guess our approach was to, because again, I just want to thank everyone that sent questions through. We had a bunch come through, so that's awesome, and we kind of just approached the last one as though let's get as many as we can done in the time. Whereas today, I think we're gonna take a select few and answer them and give them as much time as we can. And then over the coming weeks, there's some scheduling changes whereby both Adam and I will be doing potentially some solo episodes, and we might save the rest of the questions for those, just so we've got something to cover. So today, yeah, we have I think 5 or 6 we'll do. We'll finish with some funny ones, but start with the meaty ones, the good stuff. But yeah, Adam, why don't you take us away with some questions and let's dig into it.
Cool. I feel like Chris Tarrant here on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
More
Um,
handsome, and considerably younger. Is it Jeremy Clarkson does it now or something? He definitely did it. Well,
okay, look,
there you go. Sorry, mate. Let's go.
let's put you in let's put you in the hot seat.
Hmm.
So, Jamie asks, and thanks for all the questions, by the way, guys. Jamie asks, what is the best way to build aerobic capacity? Great question.
That's a tough one to start on because it is so. I'm not sure if ambiguous is the right word, but it's so open. But I think realistically, obviously, and it's going to depend. In my opinion, I think Adam's probably going to be the person who's most well equipped to answer the question. But from, I guess, from my understanding, you want to be focusing on time spent in certain training zones, right? So for me, for instance, how I worked with my coach at building my aerobic capacity was spending time working comfortably under what is kind of either your LT1 or your LT2, basically, because when we talk about your aerobic training zone, it's quite a big range. For instance, when we talk about maybe heart rates or paces you could use. So you've got your obviously your slower LT1s, or even you could frame it as LT, sorry, your zone 1 or zone 2 work. But then you could argue that some of your higher zone stuff, even zone 3, would technically be aerobic, right? So it's basically accumulating volume spent in those different zones, or as much volume as you can handle. So that might look like just kind of for a beginner, you might just want to spend time easy running, just as much easy running as you can. You're going to build up aerobic capacity because it's gonna challenge that energy system, and over time you're going to adapt and you're going to get more efficient at utilizing energy and being able to sustain kind of energy output. But then as you get more advanced, again, just kind of working out where roughly, if you can, um, where your lactate your lactate zones full, or your lactate inflection points full, and then going, okay, I want to spend as much time as I can training just under my LT1, for instance. So those maybe kind of longer intervals, as well as maybe some shorter bouts of work where you're kind of working just under your LT2, and then even stuff like the slower runs, the zone 2 kind of continuous runs. That's going to do it as well. Just kind of getting those in to fill your volume. That will help you, especially when it comes to your ability to oxidize fat and use that as an energy source. That's a great like benefit of doing those slower runs, and even some kind of steadier long runs as well. But keen to get Adam's thoughts on this as well.
Yeah, well, I think you've just given a really good answer. I'm going to say one word: mileage. Do you know? I
Mm.
think just without question, like if you want the best way to build aerobic capacity, it's run more miles. Um, Now there are 101 caveats to go along with that, as anyone that listens to us in the earlier days will know that we were caveating everything in fear of being called out, I think.
We did.
But but it's true. It can't be overstated enough, especially in the world of like just coaching and running. It's like it depends on who you are and your background and everything else. But for me, the number one way to build that aerobic capacity is mileage. And easy mileage at that. Slow, easy miles, time on feet. Um, that's going to cover your bases pretty well for building aerobic capacity. And for the vast majority of runners, it's got to be significantly slower than what you think.
Mhm.
Do you know? I actually followed John Courier, who won the Boston Marathon this year, and like he runs at 6 minute Ks. Do you
Mm.
know? He runs around in Kenya at 6 minutes per K. So like if you're a 4 hour marathon runner and your easy runs, quote unquote, are 6 minute Ks, well, maybe it's time to look at John's Strava. And and I'm not saying like we should base our training off the elites. I'm not, because again, there's a lot of context required. He could be running 210, 200 Ks a week. However, mileage is key. And slowly developing your volume over time is going to really help develop your aerobic capacity. And that's going to get you 90% of the way there. Of course, working in and around those lactate turn points is really useful, particularly for more advanced athletes. But like, it's still your mileage and your easy running are still your bread and butter. Like even listening to Coach Mike Smith of NAU in the States, the college distance running team, like his one of his key kind of principles is like, if in doubt, train the aerobic system. And of
Mm.
course that does mean easy miles, threshold, steady state running, XYZ. But that's the go, is yeah, if in doubt, it's aerobic training that you want. So I would just say, again, to go back around to that one word, is mileage and time on
Mm.
feet. Yep.
Yep, volume. And even one more thing I'll add as well is, if you're a very new runner, I'm talking like you've just come out off the back of one of those walk to run programs, which are very valuable. And to be honest, a lot of people shouldn't be skipping those, even though they seem pretty pedestrian or primary. But even just adding walking is mileage, walking is
I was just
volume.
going to
Like
say the same thing.
yeah, 100%. Like I still pay attention to how much I'm walking, because it's like, well, I might not, or if my coach deems that I I'm kind of at my limit in terms of how much I can run, that's fine. I'll get more walking in, because I'm still getting you're still working the aerobic energy system, right? You're using oxygen to basically utilize substrates for energy. So therefore, like time on feet, again, walking, it's just slower running. That's all it is. You're just using slightly different mechanics. So yeah, don't underestimate the humble
Yeah.
step.
I was also just watching after the Lex 10K, we went and had, this is a bit of a story before the story.
Mm.
But we went and had our favorite Mexican food, boojum, in Belfast. We just took a spin up because we had nothing ready for dinner or anything. So we said, right, flip it, we'll go up for a boojum. So got the boojum in, then went home, cracked open a beer, Watched an episode of Yellowstone and went to bed. And when I went to bed, my stomach was all over the shop. So
No.
I was knackered and wanted to sleep, but my stomach was just all over the place and just in pain. So I ended up getting up at like midnight and heading downstairs and just sitting on the sofa for like 3.5 hours and just with severe stomach cramps. So that led me to YouTube and you know how YouTube just recommends the videos that of course you're going to be interested in,
It's that
which is
naughty algorithm.
it's pretty good to be fair. It's
It's
class. But
fantastic.
anyways, a video popped up with Killian Jornet. For anyone that doesn't know, Killian is like the goat. He's like the Eliud Kipchoge of the mountain running world. Yeah, he's the goat, and he's a really really cool guy. Um, yeah, he's class. I recommend like following him. I've read his book and it's brilliant. Um, but there was a video with him. He's preparing for Western States in America, and I knew these stories always have a point in the end. And like in that video, he was explaining that like during this build for this race, he's done a lot less like fast hill repetitions, a lot less lactate threshold training, and more volume, more easy mileage of volume.
Mhm.
Just like I say, like really sort of slow mileage. And again, like he's one of the best distance runners in the world in his domain, in his context, and he's preparing for a race by just continuing to run easy mileage and long days. His long days are significantly more severe than our long runs. You know, he might go out and spend 6, 7, 8 hours. I think sometimes he's even gone overnight. But he's pushing the limits of human performance. But still, I think it's one of the key principles. It's, you know, easy volume, mileage, time on feet, and there is no such thing as too slow. Do you know? I genuinely believe that there's no such thing as too slow. Um, just yeah, keep it relaxed and keep it chill. So yeah, that was me on Thursday morning, 3 o'clock during the witching hour. I was and again, I'm sure all the parents are going to be screaming, saying, you know, we're up every evening and everything else. But yeah, that was it. So take it easy.
Hey, it's a good taste of things to come for you, mate. Just in case it ever happens. But yeah, there you go. I think that's a pretty good answer to the question, and also got a little bit of a story there as well.
Yep, cool.
Who's
We'll
next?
go with another. Gemma is next, and Gemma asks, "Do you guys have some tips for not hitting the wall / burning out endurance wise for half marathon distance, please? Sorry, for half / marathon distance." So she's kind of asking about the half and the marathon. Good question.
Okay, I mean,
Again, Gemma.
what I'll do is I'll give one word that I believe is probably the. No, I can't give one word because I don't think it does it justice. Two words. I think first one, fuel. This is assuming someone is ready for the distance and has done appropriate training. I think fuel is the one thing that is going to see you across the line, because I think I like, obviously hitting the wall, or bonking as we call it in cycling, is, it's not like an official term, but I think it's typically where you basically run out of fuel, and there's just nothing there, and there's no kind of quick energy source. So getting that right is obviously a little bit more sensitive in a marathon, because you're going for that much longer and you're using that much more fuel. But for a half marathon, like, just making sure you've eaten properly in the kind of roughly 3 hours before, and then I'd probably have at least one gel on a half marathon, depending on how quickly you're going. The longer you're going, the more you want fuel, because you'll be spending more time burning energy, burning calories. But for me, to be honest, and I've got a half marathon coming up in about 2 weeks' time, and I will try and get a gel on the start line, and then I'll have one probably about an hour or 45 minutes in. That way, I'm kind of covered for the duration. But then for a marathon, I mean, my strategy is always is, and always probably is going to be a gel roughly every 5K or 20 minutes. And that's about 100 calories. I think I'd struggle to get in much more, going by how Ballarat went and the stomach issues I had later on, but that's probably sufficient for me. And then again, you're probably going to need more if you're going for longer. So I think fuel is my big one. But then, as I alluded to earlier, I think simply being ready for the distance, and making sure, like, don't go into again, more kind of specific to a marathon. Don't go into a marathon having only ever run like a 10K as your longest distance, because at some point, at some random point, you're going to hit a wall and you're not going to know when it's coming. And that's going to be more of a physical wall whereby you probably just won't have the legs for it, and the muscles will go, yeah, we can't do this anymore, because you'll build up fatigue. The legs won't have the stamina, or the conditioning, I suppose, is the better word, and that's going to come and bite you on the arse. So make sure you're kind of somewhat, and again, this is going to be different to everyone, but somewhat prepared for the distance you're about to do. I'd say those are my big two.
Yeah, brilliant. I would just add one thing to what you've said, because like fuel and training were my kind of two, and the third was pacing. It just manage your race well, and that does come with practice. It comes with knowing your body. It comes with sort of knowing the training that you've done or working with a coach. And it does come with some experience and practice as well. I feel like when you've covered a distance before in a race, you kind of know what the demands of the race are, and you understand a little bit more about, like for me, like I've definitely learned from races massively, and kind of learned, where I can push and where I need to sort of be more conservative, and just how I need to manage the race. And that will be impacted by the training that you've done, the types of runs that you've done in training as well. I can think of like progression runs and different types of tempo runs and so on and so forth. But definitely pacing your race properly and managing your effort accordingly is going to be conducive to not hitting the wall, or burning out endurance wise. But that, coupled with really good training, well, of course, the training has to come first. If you're not trained, regardless of what pace you run, you're going to hit a wall. But then the next piece, like you just said, is that fuel, and ensuring that, number one, your glycogen stores are fully loaded going into the race, and that's going to come from some form of carb loading. And secondly, taking fuel during the run. And again, of course, that depends how much and how often. It's going to depend on how quickly you're planning to cover the distance, and that can be planned appropriately for the individual. I mean, aiming for somewhere between, I'm going to say aiming for somewhere between like 70 and 90 grams per hour is a good place to start. 60 to 90, but if you can go to the upper end, that's even better. So if you can work out sort of what you need, and sort of evenly space that fuel out, that's going to be, again, conducive to keeping those glycogen stores nicely topped up. But the key is pacing the race properly, and sort of not burning too much glycogen really early in the race, particularly in the marathon. And this is where pacing in the marathon is just so crucial. We can sort of talk about it from a physiological perspective, but if you go over that red line or over that lactate threshold early, you're just, you're starting to eat into those glycogen stores exponentially quicker than sitting below it. So, and well below it, I should say. So you want to be really careful with your pacing, particularly for the marathon. I mean, of course, in the half marathon as well, but particularly in the marathon, like 3, 4, 5 seconds a K too quick in the marathon can really destroy your race. So training, pacing, and fuel.
There you go. And on the point of fuel as well, if anyone wants, I'm sure it's easy enough to find calculators as to how much is recommended in terms of carb loading and carbs during races. But I know Jonah Rossner, who we've kind of plugged a couple of times on his Instagram page and his mailing list, he always posts really fantastic evidence-based numbers in terms of how many carbs you should be taking per kind of gram of body weight, kilo of body weight. So he's a good one to check out. So yeah, thanks for the question. Really good one. Again, hold on.
Cool. Right, we're going to add in a less serious question now. Well, maybe this is more serious. That's left to, I'll leave that open to you. Neve asks, what is your favorite kitchen condiment?
That is probably the best question we're going to get today. And honestly, so for anyone, again, a bit of background, I may have mentioned this in our intro episode, but when the company that me and Adam met at St. Ali in Melbourne, I actually did a brief stint right before COVID working in the kitchen. as a prep chef, and it was fucking dreadful. I'll be honest with you. It was really kind of eye opening as to what it's like working in a professional kitchen. But
Stressful.
very stressful, and yeah, it's pretty toxic. But good experience, good life experience. So I like to think I've got a little bit of experience when it comes to answering this question, and it's hopefully going to be one that's going to catch you off guard. And my answer is salt, and I'll tell you
Oh,
why.
say
Because
that again.
most people salt. What? Why are you looking at me like that?
It's your accent, mate. Say it again.
It's because I like salty potatoes. Nah, less of that. Yeah, let me explain.
I
So
like how you say it.
I was thinking about this the other day, and as a runner, like we love salt, man. We love sodium. We love it in our electrolytes, whatever. I put salt on literally everything, like
Me
everything.
too.
If I'm having breakfast cereal, a little bit of salt. And I'm talking not like Salt Bay, but like Jamie Oliver, a little bit of salt, right? A little bit of salt, sea salt, um, goes a really long way. And if you've actually had good salt, I'm not like iodized table salt is one thing, but if you get like a really nice kind of a sea salt or a Celtic salt, it's got a little bit of minerality to it. Heck, I've had truffle salt before. Like
Wow.
it's sea salt with little bits of shaved truffle. Man, that takes a dish from what is like a 7 out of 10, maybe an 8. You've got a 9.5. You've got a 9 with good salt. Um,
I
so yeah,
agree. I have to
salt.
agree.
There you
You know,
go.
I actually really, I didn't expect that answer, but I really like it. Simple man, but we're really going to show our bouginess here, aren't we?
Go
Um,
on.
I've just had a quick think about this, and mine is going to be it's going to be one of these two. Um, I'm going to say balsamic glaze,
Oh
which we
yeah.
add to pretty much, well, not everything, but
Yep.
we add to a lot of stuff. Like it started with like on salad, and
Yeah.
now we decorate our plate with it. Like
Oh.
we had curry the other night, and on the bottom of the bowl we like had a few
Oh.
swirls of this balsamic
Oh.
glaze. So then you're kind of laying the rice and the curry on top of that, and it just adds this
Mm.
little bit of zing. Yeah,
What
it's
curry?
good. It was just a plain like it was just a standard. This curry was just a
Korma or
standard.
something?
No, it wasn't a korma. It was like a I don't even know
It's got to be
how do I
some
describe
kind of curry.
like a I don't know, mate. I'm
Stumped.
I'm I'm stumped.
Actually stumped.
I'm stumped. What's just your standard like?
I don't know, like a biryani or something.
No, it wasn't an Indian curry, mate. This is like this is like a
Oh,
standard like Irish curry sauce. This is
an an
this
Irish
is
curry.
this is just your standard like homemade chip shop kind of curry.
Okay.
Was what this
Oh,
one was. We would have Indian and Thai curries quite a lot, but this is your bread and butter Irish
okay.
curry, mate.
That makes sense. I was going to say,
So
surely the
the
flavors
balsa,
would conflict with like a proper, if you had like an Indian
yeah.
curry and had a balsamic glaze.
But we would
There's
add this
some.
balsamic glaze to so much, mate. We go through a lot of it in our house, and we would add it to the bottom of pasta dishes, rice. Anyways, the balsamic glaze
Yeah.
is one. The second would have to be like peanut and chili oil,
Oh, yeah.
which is
Yeah.
great on
Yeah. Yeah.
eggs. It's great
Okay.
on eggs. It's great on all that stuff. I'm gonna go with the balsamic glaze because we use it more often.
I like that. And can I just give you a recommend? I haven't had it in years, but if you ever get like a really good avocado, take the not just
Add
nothing
salt.
else. Of course, I was going to get there, mate. Come on, give me a sec. Take the pip out, obviously. Fill the hole with balsamic glaze, and then get yourself some like chunky sea salt. Little bit of that going on. My God, you don't need anything else, man.
Try
That's
that.
art. It's stupid. It's
The thing is, so you
outrageous.
have to have the balsamic glaze. It can't be balsamic vinegar.
Yes,
So
no, it's you want it
this
a
is
bit
where people get it
syrupy.
wrong. Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
So yeah, you've got it in one. But I'm with you on the salt, mate. Absolutely with you on the salt. Good salt, good olive oil. That's all you need in the kitchen, mate.
Olive oil is probably my close second because I can shot that. I can shot olive oil literally. It's like wine. It's
Right, let's move on.
All right, sorry, we're getting too into this. That's a wonderful question. Thanks so much.
Yeah, that was
What's
pretty good.
next?
Okay, we'll go back to the running. Robbie asks, how is recovery going for you both, and have you felt back up to speed with your recent races? Thanks, Robbie.
I guess I'll start. Absolutely shit. No, realistically, I mean, I coming off. I know I should be more grateful because I was thinking about. I think I spoke with you, Adam, about this a little while ago. Just to how grateful I am to have got through the marathon prep unscathed and be able to get my marathon time. Like that. That's all I could really want. But realistically, since the marathon, getting hit with the heel injury, the plantar fasciitis, which for the record, it's still getting better. It's still there. It's getting better, but that kind of wiped me out for basically 2 weeks. I had what is a week, one full week of actual training under my belt. And then I've gotten sick again for this last week, and I have run, but the runs have been mediocre at best, just in terms of um, managing them. So realistically, I'll say for me, it's not been great. And I'm still waiting for a nice kind of. I feel like I need a good 3 or 4 weeks of solid, no sickness, like no not being impacted by my heel, and then I'm kind of back up to scratch. But I mean, look, I'm grateful that I'm running again, but it's not been fantastic post marathon. So yeah, just getting ready to that'll change, and I'm positive. It's all about positivity. There's no victim mentality. We all kind of cop wins and we cop L's, but yeah, not been the best is the honest answer, but ready for things to get better very soon.
Yeah,
I hope.
yeah.
But
Good
that's enough
man.
about me, mate. What about you?
I would say, yeah, so. I don't feel like I'm flying. I feel like I'm in the muck a bit, but I've also stacked some decent weeks, and I think I'll see the fruits of that labor over the coming weeks. I hope. So I kind of feel at the minute like, obviously we run a lot and we think about running a lot, and like you think about how you're feeling with your running at any given time. Um, and I feel like I'm in this kind of phase where things are just okay. I feel like I need to be really careful at the minute as well that I don't pick something up. I just feel like I'm just ever so slightly struggling a little bit.
Hmm.
Not majorly, but just just that feeling of, I just want to be quite cautious here. Like throughout my London build, I must admit I felt great. Like I was running much higher mileage than what I am now, and I felt great. I felt class, and I was really lucky to feel great throughout. And now I'm just like, yeah, not feeling as great. But I just know that continuing to be consistent, listening to my body, is going to lead to good things down the track. I also, one of our favorites to talk about, Phil Sessamon, he put a little post up a few weeks ago, about like post marathon. He said something just about how, or I heard him on a podcast, I don't know where it was, but it was Phil that said it. Like post marathon, when you get back into training, you do go through this period of time when things just feel shit. Like you can be
Mm.
putting in training and putting in decent training, and you're probably pretty fit, all things considered, but you've almost to get through that I just call it mud. You have to get through the mud, to kind of get out the other end. And I think I feel a little bit like that at the minute. Um, so yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. But overall, pretty good. Like when I zoom out on it, it's things are pretty good. I feel like I'm recovered for sure. But the training's just kind of like slightly more grindy than what it was
Mm.
before. But that's absolutely fine. Like I've been monitoring my heart rate, and it's on easy runs actually it's really low. So I actually feel like fitness is in a really good place at the minute. It's just a case of just managing the body properly, and not letting fatigue take hold. I find this time of year too, just as a bit of a side note here, like sleep can be tricky enough for me at this time of year because the brighter evenings and the longer days and the difference in my routine. Like I mentioned to you off camera before we started, Kira finishes school this week. So it's like Kira's off on summer holidays. our routines, our daily routines change. My kind of work routine changes a little bit with Kira being off. We've got more time to spend together. So, um, we might go out and grab a coffee in the afternoon. So I might be working in the evening more than I usually do, or just whatever. Routine changes, and I find like my sleep is just a little bit. I'm probably banking a little bit less sleep, so probably just bringing a bit more attention to that is going to be better for me. And trying to bed down a bit earlier and try to keep a bit of a habit, because it's like whenever Kira's off, it almost feels like every night is like a weekend night. Um, so like we might stick on the extra episode of on Netflix when we're chilling out, or we might be out a little bit later at a friend's house or whatever. So yeah, I suppose that's something to think about. But overall, pretty good. Pretty happy with where things are. Um, just being careful with managing the fatigue.
There you go. Another good
Happy
question.
enough?
Thanks for asking. Yeah.
Yeah, great one. Okay. Liam asks, this is a good question. If you have a decent aerobic base, should I be running more hill sprints /threshold/VO2 max? Do you want me to take this one first and give you a bit of a chance to have a think?
Yeah, go
Or
for
do
it.
you want,
By all
or do you have
means.
something planned?
Well, I mean, all I was going to, you're probably better equipped than this anyway. All I was going to say is if, from, in my opinion, if you've got that base and depending on what that base means, I guess I'm assuming that this person isn't already doing those things, right? So the threshold one runs, the VO2 work, and the hill sprints as well. So absolutely, I think if you've kind of milked one style of training or one approach to training dry, then absolutely giving yourself that new stimulus is going to give you something. Because like, again, this is a philosophy that David, my coach, has really instilled in me, is that the way to go about running isn't, for most runners at least, isn't to go, okay, let's work 1 month at a time, working only up until the next race and training for that race and then training for the next one, and is to train to be a better runner, find out what is stopping me from being the best runner possible, tackle things from a holistic viewpoint, a very macroscopic view, and then you pepper in the specific work, right? So if you're kind of trying to be the best runner, but you've got a big aerobic base, and what might bring your ceiling up is adding some VO2 max work. Not that necessarily VO2 max is that indicative of kind of endurance running, but what it can do is, if the upper limits of what you can sustain from an aerobic standpoint is limited by your VO2 max, then absolutely bringing that up is going to help. So I'm going to say in short, like, yes, those things, if that's what's missing from your training currently, can potentially make you a better runner, even when it comes to improving marathon times, because it's like you definitely still use those energy systems, right? It might be you might be using more of an anaerobic, more of your anaerobic metabolism to tackle the VO2 max, the shorter sprints, the hill sprints especially. But again, it's not like you're not using anaerobic metabolism during a marathon, right? You are, just in different quantities. So yes is my short answer, and keen to hear Adam's thoughts on this.
Uh, I'm going to disagree slightly, controversially. And I'm going to say, well, of course, first, it depends. It depends what you're training for, and it depends on your experience and who you are as an athlete. However, um, I'm going to just go back and quote Mike Smith, and that's if in doubt, train the aerobic system. And there's good reason for that. I'm going to say that this isn't a study I'm going to quote, but I'm going to say that pretty much every athlete that I have come across is limited by their aerobic system,
Mhm.
not their anaerobic system. The limiting factor in their racing performance is their aerobic system. Um, so for me, getting better, for pretty much every athlete that is listening to this podcast,
Mm.
whether it's 5K racing, because, well, actually, I'm going to even say 1500 meter racing, I'm going to say 3,000 meter racing. I'm going to say 5K racing. I'm going to say 10K racing, half marathon, and marathon. Particularly as you go longer, 5K, 10K, half marathon, marathon, 3K, 5K, 10K, half marathon, marathon. I'm going to say the limiting factor for pretty much everyone listening to this podcast is going to be their aerobic system, not their VO2 max. And by the way, your threshold is contained within that aerobic system. So that's just a key thing to mention here. And this is where lots of runners are getting threshold training wrong, is they're doing it at intensities too high. And having a lactate test, or having, I'm just going to go back to testing here, is probably the number one way to kind of like show you what threshold training should look like, to kind of humble people. So I'm going to say no. I'm going to say continue to be patient and continue to develop your aerobic capacity, because like I said, that's the limiting factor on most people's racing performance. And I'm actually just going to include high rocks in that, maybe controversially again.
I probably
Because
agree.
I know the guy Liam that asked this question, he likes to do both running races, and I think he likes to do some hybrid high rocks, so the less sexy training is the stuff that is going to help you be a faster high rocks athlete, the stuff that's going to make you a better 5K athlete, 10K athlete, so on and so forth. So I'm going to just say no. I'm going to say continue to build that aerobic base and be patient with it, and just put the time in, and you will get faster. You will get faster. Now, like I say, a threshold is contained within that if you do threshold properly. I think what is also really beneficial to sprinkle among that work is some quote unquote speed work. And again, I think that word speed work is grossly, I don't even want to say misunderstood, but it's used differently depending on who you speak to. I've spoke to a lot of runners that have said like speed work is 1K repeats at threshold. For me, that's not what I consider speed work. That's either dependent on the speed and dependent on the recovery interval. That's either threshold or VO2 max training. Not quote unquote speed work. Like I don't consider threshold to be speed work. I don't consider VO2 max work to be speed work. I consider speed work to be actually developing your ability to run fast. So actual speed, probably in the domain of less than 15 seconds at a time. So short, fast hill sprints, or like even 100-meter runs on a track or on a really flat surface, is what I would consider to be speed work. So sprinkling in a little bit of that to work on your sort of neuromuscular speed or neuromuscular development to just simply biomechanically teach your body to run faster. You're not really looking at a cardio or a metabolic workout from these types of sessions. You're more looking at just neuromuscular development and that actual biomechanical benefit of just teaching your body to run faster. So aerobic system plus just a small sprinkling of that, once or twice per week, just to develop that leg turnover or that speed, I think would be the best way for the most people. I'm not saying everyone, because some people, like you said, are going to be limited by their VO2 max, but I haven't come across many. And of course, like it's hard to tell if you're not actually physiologically testing them, but when you profile an athlete, when you ask the right questions and you get to know them, which I try to do with every athlete that I coach, you learn that they're limited by their aerobic capacity, not their like I just want to give people an example. Like I am limited by my aerobic capacity. That's my limiting factor from running faster is my aerobic capacity. You probably are too. As are, like I just said, pretty much every athlete that we speak to. You want to push those thresholds up as close to your VO2 max as possible. There are some people that might need to raise their ceiling, but most people need to lift the thresholds first.
Yeah, and I should. Maybe it was kind of at my detriment too. I obviously taken the question at face value, assuming someone did have a genuinely kind of developed aerobic base. But again, I wouldn't disagree with what Adam has said at all. I think for most of us, the aerobic base, the aerobic foundation has to come first, and when and then the addition of, like, for instance, I do some hill sprints in part of my week. I don't really do the VO2 max work. I occasionally do the threshold tempo work. um but yeah, I would completely agree with Adam. For 99% of people, it's your aerobic that is gonna need the most work. And yeah, I guess it's the higher, kind of the more closer to what is elite, where potentially bringing up the VO2 max. But again, you'd never really know unless you did testing. So for most people, I think simply working on that aerobic base and then maybe sprinkling in some speed work now and then, and obviously doing the tempo stuff correctly or as accurately as you can, it is
I
the way
think
to go.
one last thing that we should say, and this I just want to sort of say as well, that like, as long with the caveat here that you really understand training and the purpose of the training, because we don't have time to sort of explain it all just right now, but if you understand the training and the purpose and the way you're trying to develop, um the VO2 max or race specific, like 5k 10k work, let's just say, that can be trained quite quickly. That element of physiology or fitness can be, that dial can be turned quite fast, and adaptations can be quite quick. The aerobic stuff, the threshold training, that takes a while. It's like a drip and tap. You just got to let it drip very, very gradually over time, and over time it will stack up and it will fill that cup. But you got to be patient with it. You got to allow the training to, yeah, just you got to take your time. Like, I just had an athlete that had a nice breakthrough in their 10k, um, and for a few months, like, she was kind of, I feel like she was thinking that she wasn't really going anywhere with her development, and then next thing she knows, she runs a 10-minute 10k PB, um, after just like between March and now. It was like the end of March, and just this weekend, just gone by, she ran 10 minutes faster for 10k. And that was that little breakthrough where the aerobic training that we've been doing and the development that we've been working on for um, about 10 months, it's now starting to work. And she's had that breakthrough in her performance. And she was like, I had no idea that I could run that pace for 10 kilometers because I haven't been doing like a lot of work at that specific pace. And it's like, yes, now the aerobic system is actually, we've trained your aerobic system. The adaptations have kind of taken hold, and you're seeing the fruits of your labor now. So I just want to reiterate, you have to be patient with it. You aren't going to see results in weeks. It's going to be months, but they are worth it. And like I mentioned on a previous episode, they also don't atrophy very quickly. Like, as long as you maintain that aerobic system, it's not going to go anywhere. So it's worth doing that work. It really is. It's going to make you a far better athlete. And then the other stuff, that little sprinkling of whether it's VO2 max work or race specific work for 5k, 10k, or half marathon or whatever. Yeah, particularly 5k, 10k. That stuff will you can sharpen up really quickly. So you can kind of add that to your aerobic system in a short space of time, and that's going to allow you to race even faster over those distances. So, yep, I would say just continue the aerobic development. Even if you're a Hyrox athlete, keep working aerobically, keep being patient with it. Because I think people forget too. People think Hyrox and they think, oh, I think it's 8 1 kilometer runs interspersed between stations, but like, you aren't going to run very fast in kilometer 5, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 unless like you have the aerobic system to get there without utilizing too much of your VO2 battery, let's say. So if you've like burnt your matches early in a Hyrox event, like in the first 20 minutes, well, it doesn't really matter how well trained your VO2 max is or how fast you can run a 1k interval, because your aerobic system hasn't got you to the point where you're going to even be able to utilize that, if that makes sense. So if you've eaten into that battery early because your aerobic system isn't developed well enough, or you've paced the race really badly in a Hyrox, again, it really doesn't matter how fast you can run a single 1K repeat. It's how fast you can run a single 1K repeat after 1 hour of exercise and fatigue. That's the thing that you need to remember. And I hope more and more people are starting to realize that and understand that about training and racing.
Very well said. And another good question.
Yep,
Yeah.
great question.
Do you
So,
want to take? Should we take one more proper one, and then maybe see if we've got time for some. I say proper one, some fun ones to finish.
yep, cool. Craig asks, do I need a shoe rotation doing 3 to 4 runs per week, or can my Nova Blast handle it all?
In short, technically, no, you don't need a shoe rotation. I'm gonna? I think I'm gonna speak for Adam when I say this. If you can afford and if it's in your like I guess in your capacity, would we recommend a shoe rotation? Yes, probably would. At least two pairs to rotate between. Because it means you're gonna chew through those shoes quicker. It also gives you, presuming you're having different makes and models of shoes, it's going to give you different surfaces to run on. You're going to get different levels of cushioning. It's going to train the soft tissues and the tendons, the ligaments, all that stuff, the musculature in the foot slightly differently. And you can even kind of get shoes that are better suited to certain runs as well if you have that rotation. So look, this is a pretty easy question because look, you don't need one, and I'm sure there's hundreds, if not thousands, of Kenyans out there that are doing high mileage in one pair of trainers, and they're running quicker than all of us. But if it's something that you can afford and have the ability to go after, then yeah, I'd say two or maybe three pairs is very it could be quite beneficial to that amount of running. And also it depends how much you're running. The further the distances are, the more you could possibly benefit from having that rotation.
Yeah, I have to agree. Having a couple of shoes is going to be better than having just a single pair, just to kind of keep your feet, I guess. I always like the notion of just having your feet go into slightly different positions in different shoes and not be loaded up in exactly the same way. Let the foam in one pair of shoes kind of recover while you wear another. And like you said as well, having maybe a couple of different pairs of shoes for different types of runs. Having a pair that you have for your recovery runs or your easy runs or mileage runs, and having a pair for maybe some faster runs, or long runs or intervals, or whatever you're doing in your week. So, yeah, I would say two would be great. Three is a luxury. But yeah, definitely having a shoe rotation would be great. But saying that, like, the Nova Blast is a very versatile shoe. It's not one that I love. I just don't really get on with the foam in those shoes. I think they just seem to soften a little bit too much for me. Haven't worn the latest ones, but and I'd be keen to try them, but no, haven't tried them. But it's definitely a versatile shoe that you can do it all in. But I think just having a couple of pairs is going to, yeah, just allow your body to, and your feet, most importantly, to just recover a little bit better between those runs. But again, like you also said, it does depend on how long you're running in those runs. If it's 20 minutes each time, the Nova Blast probably more than enough. But if you're going upwards of sort of 45 minutes to an hour, yeah, I'd have a second pair in there.
Yeah, another good
Happy
question.
enough?
Happy. Let's. Do you want to finish? We'll finish off with some fun ones before we shoot.
Yep, grand. Chris says, could you guys do a live duo episode in Melbourne?
Man, it'd be such fun. I'm not sure we'd get a massive turnout. I don't know. We might be wrong, but I know probably about 5 or 6 people that would come. At least 5 or 6 people. That'd be great fun. We need to get Adam over to Melbourne first. I think is the key to this. But yeah, maybe,
That would be
maybe
nice, wouldn't it, mate? A live episode
it would. I don't know if he means like
in
do a
Melbourne.
live a recording where we actually have like a live audience, or if he just means like
Mm.
do, let's say if
Oh,
we're both
that would be
recording,
pretty cool too, actually.
that'd be very cool. But I'm not sure if he means that, or if we just literally are in the same room, like traditional Joe Rogan style, and then have it up on like a live feed. I'm not sure which he means, but both would be fun.
Well, he did say it in Melbourne, so yeah, I think he means maybe the two of us sitting in the same room.
Yeah.
That would be nice. Anyone wants to fund that? That's be our
Yeah,
guests.
fun,
Like, I'll take a
fun,
trip to Melbourne.
Adam. Yeah, he only takes first class as well. We'll settle for Emirates, Abu Dhabi,
Yeah,
uh,
that'll do.
Qatar. Any of the big airlines is fine. So yeah,
That would
thanks.
do. Um, I'll save that one. Okay.
Ambiguous there.
John has asked, what is the best food to eat after a race?
I think we had a similar one in our last Q&A, but for me, I don't think there's a best, but the thing I gravitated to the most after my marathon was burger. Like I
Yeah,
just
me
wanted a
too.
burger. I should clarify. I don't really make a big point of this, but I am vegan, so my tastes are gonna vary compared to Adam. But there's this great vegan joint in it's not there anymore. It's a pop up in Brunswick. That was basically they veganized McDonald's, and they're quite a big brand. They're in the US, they're in Japan, they're in Sydney, and they had a pop up in Melbourne. And it's a fair drive from where we live, but I was like to Nicole, my partner, I was like, we got to go for a pilgrimage, get some burgers, get some chips, and that was 10 out of 10. Like that really hit the spot.
Class. Yep, I have to agree. Burgers, maybe not the best. Well, yeah, they probably are pretty good from a recovery standpoint. But
I reckon.
do you know what, mate? After a race is the only time ever that I don't feel like
Mm.
eating. Like, I just
Yeah.
always feel shit, and just zero appetite.
I should
Now,
clarify quickly that when I got burnt, this was literally probably 5 6 hours after, because I completely agree. All I had in the immediate aftermath was water, because that was all I could stomach. So yeah, I agree.
when I eat though, generally I feel better, but I probably won't be rushing back for a boojum post race because honestly, the stomach cramps that I had on Wednesday night, well, I lost half a night's sleep over it. So yeah,
Yeah.
um, I won't be going back for that. So burgers my go to. Um, if you want to go down the recovery line, don't they talk about having the tart cherry juice?
Mhm.
Isn't it tart cherry juice?
Yeah, sour cherry, tart cherry,
Um,
same thing.
and probably heaps of
Protein,
carbs and a little
protein.
bit of protein. Yeah,
Yeah.
heaps of carbs and a good serving of protein is probably what you're aiming for. But I just go for a burger. Um, can't go wrong with, like you say, some chips.
Yeah.
Uh,
Now, can I sprinkle one in quickly? A question. So
yep.
this one's from a friend of mine, Scott, who asked me if we've got any update on what I'm going to rephrase the question. What do you reckon the flow state slogan should be? So we've had a few. We've had "Don't miss the forest for the trees,"
That's the
"Sun
one I
splitting
was
the
thinking of.
stones." There's my favorite one from a few episodes ago when I managed to say icing on the cherry instead of
That's right.
cherry cherry on the cake or icing on the
Uh,
cake. Have you got any
Icing on the
more?
cherry. Oh, mate, you've put me on the spot.
What do
Um,
you? I feel like you're definitely one for a slogan or uh, I mean,
a cliche, yeah, I do
a
like a good
cliche?
cliche.
You do love a
Or an
cliche.
analogy. I'm a teacher at heart. I like an analogy.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I think now I come to say I'm like I was going to say I don't miss the forest for the trees because that was the OG. But then I have been enjoying
Someone
the sun's.
actually, someone
Go
actually
on.
sent me a message when we said sun splitting the. Did we say sun splitting the stones or sun splitting the
Yeah,
trees?
stones, mate. Because you said it and I picked it up off of you. Sun splitting the
Oh,
stones.
I'm a bit confused now. But someone had messaged me to say that yeah, it's actually the sun splitting the trees. And
Is
then
it
I was like,
actually?
no. But then I looked it up, mate. You can say both. You can
They
say
tried to
both.
they
They
tried to
tried
catch
to
us slipping.
try to
I
catch
think
us slipping. Yeah,
I actually think I had a list of some other ones that Scott sent me in terms of ideas.
we've probably said a
Maybe
few over the 20 weeks, but none are springing to mind right now. I've drawn a blank because you put me on the spot and I can't handle the pressure.
let's see. What have I got? What have I got? What have I got? Look, now I'm not going to be able to find it. Um, Never mind. But there you go, Scott. I'm going to say it's got to
Don't
be the
don't
OG.
miss the forest through the trees,
Don't
isn't
miss
that
the
it?
forest for the trees. Yeah, I think it's my favorite. Um, Yeah, damn it, I can't find the rest, but yeah.
Keep her
Oh,
lit.
maybe.
I like that. Keep her lit.
Okay. Oh no, we had another one. So what was it? God, this is terrible podcasting, guys. I'm so sorry. We said something about knowledge rich, cash poor, or something like that a couple of weeks
Yeah,
ago.
with the lactate strips, that's right.
Yeah, because they're like £2 a pop. I was like, well, we definitely can't afford that, but we're smart,
Knowledge
so
rich, cash poor. Yeah, I like that one.
that's a good one. So, hey, let's know what you think, man. Like, comment down below what you think our catchphrase should be, and if we ever print T-shirts when we're doing our live show in Melbourne, we'll be sure to put the catchphrase on the back. But what do you reckon? One more question from the people.
Oh, will we go funny or serious, mate? You choose what you like. What do you want?
Oh, look, I'm still in my recovery. I need something funny. Sorry, we'll get to some other serious
Barry
questions another time.
Barry has asked Adam, seriously, will you leave Kira for me? That's
You
not a
said
question
this
to you,
last
mate,
time.
but that's my last
No,
funny one.
he said.
That's the
I think I
last funny
like
one I have.
that. I don't know him, but he said it last time, so he's really.
There's a
It's
hint of
it's
desperation there, isn't there?
There's a little bit, but there's also a little bit of it's quite romantic. Like they say, romance is dead, but he's coming after you, man. He doesn't care. He knows he's going to get called out on camera. He knows that
Yeah.
you've got a wife, but he's still coming after you, man. It's like Love Actually, right? The guy. Have you seen that film?
Yeah.
I can't remember who's the actor. He's in The Walking Dead, and he goes after Keira Knightley, even knowing she's with someone, and that someone is his best mate.
Mate.
He's he's still going after her, like, and that's seen as romantic. So I don't know. I think Barry's a bit of a stud, if you ask me. So
Yeah.
yeah. So
Barry, you
will
just
you?
want to maybe just,
Mm.
I don't know, mate. I'll maybe answer that off camera. Um, Barry's going to turn 50 this year, so um, I would definitely be, what's the word? Toy
Oh,
boy?
toy boy. Yeah, he'd be a bit of a silver fox, bit of a cougar, and you'd be the toy boy, mate.
Yeah, Barry's turning 50 this year, so big happy birthday for Barry coming up, one of my good mates. I call him my outdoor dad.
I
So
like that. That's very
yeah,
cute.
he's kind of got that like outdoorsy vibe about him. So well, that just all sounds very weird now that I've just said I call him my
Does,
outdoor
mate.
dad. So yeah, he's one of the lads we go running with in town here. Good friend, and he'll be loving life because he's also a teacher and he's just about to finish up, and this is his favorite time of year. Um, so yeah, shout out to Baz. But
Shout out to you, Barry.
maybe we'll keep our love life on the DL for now, Barry.
Yeah, we'll leave that for the subscriber only section of the podcast, which
Yeah, the
definitely
Patreon.
gets the Patreon that gets a little bit steamy. But look, guys, like I said, I'm still I'm still recovering from a week of sickness, so I'm definitely ready for bed. But like I said, if we missed your question, we are gonna get to it. So over the next couple of weeks, I think Adam mentioned that he's going to be going away on holidays. So what we'll do for you is, because it's unlikely me and Adam are going to get too much time to tee up these kind of conversational podcasts, we might do some solo episodes where we kind of recap our own training and answer some of your questions between us. So essentially, keep your ears peeled over the next few weeks for your questions. But again, apologies for missing a week, and hopefully this fantastic episode made up for it and gave you something to smile about on your Wednesday. But guys, as always, thank you so much for taking the time to listen, to watch, to like, subscribe, follow, all that good stuff. It still means the world to us, and we still get like the nicest comments and messages. So much
Yeah, thank you.
appreciated, and we're looking forward to seeing you again for next week's episode in whatever capacity it comes in. So yeah, thanks guys. Take care.